Well, this went well, didn't it? What is up, everyone? This is Ellibod here. Welcome to the Ellibod Sports Network. And with the championship season over, it's time to look back at my prediction. And I already know that I have not done well at all this time. But let's look back at it anyway and just see where my best predictions and worst predictions were. Remember, I use a point system for my prediction. If I get my prediction spot on, I score 5 points. If my prediction is 1 place out, I score 3 points. If my prediction is 2 places out, I score 1 point. Anything further than that, it is an incorrect prediction. And I get 0 for it. So, starting right at the bottom, I predicted Reading to finish dead last. They didn't finish dead last, they finished in 22nd, 2 places above where I was thinking they were going to finish. It is within the 2-place caveat, so I do score a point right off the bat, which is nice. And yeah, you deserve all the kicking you deserve, Reading. For when I predicted you to win the championship and you tanked, then I predicted you to finish dead last this season, and you didn't finish dead last, but you're still relegated. Down the leagues you go. Reading's form this season, even if you don't include the points deduction, was pretty catastrophic. And the few times I was able to watch them, it was like watching a low league basketball team trying to play hockey. They looked like they didn't have a clue what they were doing, and I'm aware that, you know, they had Paul Ince on the books, and he is just not, I don't think Paul Ince is fit for management. I can't actually think of a club where he's done well. Yeah, within my 2-place caveat, so I do get a point, so I do get 1 point off the bat. Probably not going to go that much better now. So, 23rd, I said that Rotherham would finish 23rd in the relegation zone. Rotherham come up to go straight back down. That's the usual with Rotherham Football Club. And, well, this season they didn't. They finished 4 places better than I predicted. They finished in 19th. And, well, a lot of the success for the club has been in the fact that they had 17 draws. And that's really what's kept them up, is hanging on by a thread thanks to those draws. Only 11 wins, which is the same number that another relegated team got. So, really, Rotherham just held on by a thread, and ultimately because just they did better than they had a better record than teams that couldn't hold on to draws, was the only reason why they stayed up. Only thing I can really say with Rotherham is that they need to find a solid centre forward to keep them up next season. If they don't find someone in the transfer window that will, you know, guarantee them goals, then I don't see them staying up next season. So the summer transfer window is going to be an interesting one for Rotherham. But, well, you survived. And so did this other team I predicted would be relegated, but only because they sacked Steve Bruce at the earliest point. I was thinking maybe they would sack him by Christmas, and it would be too late by then. But no, West Brom made the smart decision, sacked Bruce early, And there was no way that Bruce was going to work. Brucey ball does not work in today's football. This hoof the ball from the back, non-compact defense doesn't work in today's football. And West Brom was smart enough to realise that. And considering, I think at one point at the early stage of the season, West Brom were dead last, for them to recover and finish 9th is actually very impressive. So I predicted relegation for West Brom. They finished 13 places higher than my prediction. So naturally I score nothing from that, and so far I have only scored 1 point. Oh, this is gonna be bad. So 21st, I said the ongoing disaster that is Birmingham would finish just outside the relegation zone, and might have finished slightly higher than that, 53 points in 17th, but there's still really nothing of Birmingham that screams particularly good. I mean, they lost their last 3 games of the season, and their overall record was 14, 11, 21. 21 losses, only 14 wins and 11 draws. I mean, again, if you look at Rotherham, who held on to those draws, and Rotherham lost fewer games than Birmingham did. Even if Birmingham won more games, honestly, I think Rotherham had slightly better form. So, yeah, I really can't see much of a future for Birmingham staying up in the Championship unless something drastic changes. And there needs to be something. There's got to be some injection of life into this football club, because as it stands, you fuckers are going nowhere. All the meanwhile, once again, your rivals Aston Villa are rocketing up the Premier League and actually challenging for European football. Do something, Birmingham, because otherwise this can only go from bad to worse. And well, my prediction goes from bad to worse. I predicted the shit pit, Sunderland, to finish 20th, thinking, coming up from the playoffs, they'll probably just hang in there. Oh boy, was I wrong. They didn't just hang in there, they really did put a beating on the Championship and finished in a playoff place. There is a chance that Sunderland might get back-to-back promotions. And as a Newcastle fan, part of me doesn't want to see it, because you never want to see your rivals do well. But actually, another part of me does want to see it, because I do want the North East Derby back in the Premier League. I want Newcastle Sunderland in the Premier League, so that we can smash them. Right, next. Another team that did 4 places better than I was predicting. I predicted them for 19th, and they finished 15th. Hull. There isn't really much I can say on Hull. Very average form. 14 wins, 16 draws, 16 losses. Yeah, pretty solid form to stay up there, almost in the mid-table. But are Hull fans happy with this, is what I'm wondering. Because I want to see Hull do better. I want to see Hull play a more beautiful form of football. And they're not doing it at the moment, and that concerns me. So again, in the transfer window, you need to look for both a good centre forward, but also some more solid box-to-box midfielders. Ones that can get forward and attack, but also go back and defend. Now again, using the example as a Newcastle fan, what Eddie Howe has turned Joe Linton into, that's what you lot need at Hull. You need a good box-to-box midfielder that can both stop the opponent's chances but also create chances. Decent result for Hull. Nothing really more than that. Was not a decent result for this next team. The first team of my list has done worse than I predicted them. And to be fair, I didn't exactly predict them for greatness, so the fact that they did worse is worrying. And that is Blackpool, doing 5 places worse than my prediction. Hull is the only team relegated this season that did not have a points deduction. And if you take away the points deduction that the next team in my prediction had, if you take away the points deduction that Wigan had, then Blackpool would have finished dead last. That is a scary enough concept. There needs to be a very serious soul searching at Blackpool for League One next season, because otherwise you could see yourself being destroyed by the teams coming up from League 2. And that would be an embarrassing concept in my view, seeing Blackpool taking a thrashing at the hands of a team like Leyton Orient or Northampton. Of course, the League 2 playoffs are still to come, so you've also got to consider that team as well. Wouldn't be too shocked if Stevenage beat you. So, next in my prediction, the next team that did worse than I predicted. I predicted them for 17th. Even if you take out the points deduction, they would not have got out that relegation zone. This was a awful time to be a Wigan fan. And again, Wigan are one of those teams that you'd maybe see trying to come back, trying to get that bounce back, and they just don't. And this season, their form was catastrophic. I mean, yeah, 15 draws, but the least number of wins in the league with 10 and 21 defeats. Yeah, there's not really much you can say to Wigan's form other than the fact that it was rubbish. Grade A, absolute rubbish. What does the future hold for Wigan in League One? Well, if you could sort out, if you could sort out your finances so you don't end up with another points deduction, then I can see Wigan coming straight back up, but you might end up one of those yo-yo teams between League One and the Championship. There needs to be a serious review on the board of directors at Wigan Athletic. And well, what does Wigan need? It needs defenders more than anything else. You need a brick wall at the back. So transfer window, look for a defender. And look for a solid defender, more importantly. You don't want to end up looking for a defender and they end up with more holes than Donald Trump's excuses. So next, another team that did worse than I predicted, but only by 2 places. I finally get another point on the board. Huddersfield. I predicted for 16th, they finished in 18th. Again, same record here as Birmingham. It's just lower goal difference. So a couple more goals and they would have been only 1 place out, and I would have had 3 points on the board. But at the moment, another point, so I'm on 2. I can't really comment too much on Huddersfield because the thing is, I don't really know how they can improve. Huddersfield seem like a team that are just there. It seemed like this season they were there to make up the numbers. I mean, they did have a reasonably good run of form, and then it tanked off, and then, I mean, 3 wins to end the season is definitely decent. So you need to find a way to keep that form going. Right, next on my list, 15th, I went with Stoke. They finished 16th. Okay, 3 points on the board now. Now we're getting somewhere. Come on. Stoke City. Middle of the table, and that's where they end up. What else can I say? It's where they end up. I was only 1 place out with this one. Here's a team where I was not 1 place out, I was 9 places out. And that was Coventry. Coventry this season were mad. Having to postpone games, the situation with the eviction notice from the fat fuck Mike Ashley, and yet there's a realistic chance that Coventry will be in the Premier League next season. And I think I remember saying that they need to build up a steady form in the Championship before chasing for that promotion place. And no, they seem ready and willing to go for it now, and I can commend that, especially with the situation that the club is in. But they need to resolve that situation as well, and more importantly, you need to get Mike Ashley out of your club. Again, he is the cancerous kiss that will kill your club. Unless, of course, Coventry get demoted. Then there could be a serious chance of actually making things work out. But I don't see it happening with Mike Ashley. Kill all connection. Get rid of any connection to him, and your club will thrive. But I mean, you did better than my prediction, miles better than my prediction. And here's another team that did miles better than my prediction, that being Luton. I predicted for 13th, and they finished in 3rd. Ironically enough, the team I predicted for 3rd actually finished in 13th as well, so yeah, that was very strange. So switch these 2 teams around, why don't you? Yeah, Luton. You're in the playoffs, you're in 3rd place. I don't think you need to hear anything, but I've got to say you did a good job. You did a really good job this season. You are in with a realistic chance of seeing Erling Haaland travelling to Luton, which is an amazing concept even when I say it out loud. Right, so in 12th place. Oh, this is going to be a hard one for Millwall fans to swallow. You did better than my prediction. Again, 4 places. How many teams now have I had finished 4 places above where I predicted them? I think it's 4, ironically. Yeah, Millwall on the cusp of promotion, on the cusp of the playoffs, I should say. And then, what happened in that game against Blackburn? Because you should never go from 3-1 up to lose 4-3. That is a disaster. So next season, Millwall, you need defenders. You need to look at your defensive strategy, and you need to bring in a new defender, perhaps change up your defensive strategy, and possibly look into your midfield as well. As far as attack-wise, I didn't think anything was wrong. I mean, you won more games than you drew, and you won more games than you lost, so attacking-wise, you're fine. But it's those fine-tuning problems at the back that you need to fix, and fix urgently. You were so close this season to a playoff place, and I would like to see Millwall get promoted, mainly because they're one of the few teams that have never seen Premier League football. And seeing them in the Prem, I think, would be very exciting. But, 8th place, nothing to sneeze at, but you know you could have done more. Next, in 11th, I went with Bristol City. And, Bristol City finished in 14th, 3 places below my prediction. So unfortunately for me, I cannot get any points on that. I'm still on 5, and I'm more than halfway up the table. That's how bad this season's been for me in my predictions. I have to hope my Premier League prediction makes up for this. Not really much I can say on Bristol City. Average form. Nothing really exciting. It'll be intriguing to see what Bristol City try and do next season, but I don't really see Bristol City doing anything of much interest other than just being a championship team, and some people can settle for that, some people can't. And Bristol City seems to be one of those teams that just seem to be happy to be in the championship, so why compromise that? Bristol City I got wrong. 10th. Finally I get one within the caveat. I went with Preston North End to finish 10th. They finished 12th, which is 2 places out within my caveat. Another point, which means I'm now on 6. I've got to get something. I've got to get something to get to my target. Oh boy, this is not going to be easy. But yeah, Preston North End. Again, kind of the same as Bristol City, they just seem to be happy to be in the championship. And I think they will just very easily settle for championship. Provided that they stick to the current form they're on, the defenders and attackers that they have, even though they won and lost an equal amount of games. Ultimately, Preston didn't have a bad season. The only thing would be that form at the end where, 5 games you lose 4 of them and draw 1. That's not exactly form getting you ready for trying to chase the Premier League. So, I mean, you've stayed where you are, so I guess you can have that. And I mean, you did a lot better than this team I'm about to talk about. 9th. What were you doing, QPR? For me to predict you 9th. And to finish a good 6 points above the relegation zone. But again, take away the points deduction that Reading had and you would have been in serious danger. Not so much as another team, which I'll come to in a moment, but QPR were a leaking machine. They had so many holes at the back that you think they were the spots in Joe Biden's head. See, I can be politically neutral. But yeah, this was bad for QPR. 11 places below where I predicted them. This was awful. This was literally one of the worst runs of form that you can go on. Eighth place, not as bad. I predicted them for 8th, they finished in 10th within my caveat. 7 points I'm now on. I get an extra point now. Swansea. But again, Swansea, I feel like they're a team that should be doing more. They should be really in that playoff hunt, and this season they didn't look to be there, and a late chase, but nothing more than that. So, what does Swansea need? They need a solid... they need to improve in their defence, and they need to improve in their midfield. Really can't apply anything more than that. So in the transfer window, defenders, midfielders, attack-wise, I think you're fine. Just had to adjust my camera there and plug in this portable charger because the camera is starting to run low on juice. And speaking of running low on juice, this next club, I predicted you for 7th. just outside of a playoff place. You didn't finish outside the playoffs. You finished outside the relegation zone, Cardiff. Adjust this slightly. What's happened this season, Cardiff? You should have been up there just narrowly missing out. And you were, again, if Reading's points deduction hadn't happened, you would be relegated. So you need to be kissing the FA right now. One of the worst records in the in league. 13 wins, 10 draws, 23 losses. What was... I don't know what Cardiff were doing, but it didn't work. Again, I think so far this has been my worst. This has been my worst prediction. I think 15 places below where I predicted them. Okay, let's see who I predicted for the playoffs, and hopefully I can get something out of this. So 6th, I went with Burnley, thinking that they would just scrape back into the playoffs. Nope, they completely stormed the season and only lost 3 games all season. Deserving champions. Welcome back to the Premier League, Burnley. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I am a big fan of Sean Dyche. You can't get enough of that man's personality and voice. But without Sean Dyche, Burnley have become a very exciting club to watch. And, hey, it's worked. You absolutely stormed the championship 5 places above where I predicted you. As did this other club who I thought would finish in the playoffs, and they've actually got automatic promotion, and that is Sheffield United. Very good form, very good to watch, very good for promotion. I will admit I didn't want to see Sheffield United get promoted again, because I thought that they were kind of, their form when they were in the Premier League, yeah, good first season, second season syndrome hit them like a brick. And they certainly weren't singing after that. But no, they've bounced back. Obviously a bit of a resting period, a bit of a wait, but this season they've had great form and you can't really fault them for that. So, again, deserving promotion. Again, I haven't found a single spot on until now. 4th. Oh, thank God. I've got 1 spot on. Middlesbrough. I predicted them for 4th. They finished in 4th. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, thank God. A correct position. It took me 20 places to find it. But yeah, Middlesbrough in the playoffs. They did exactly what I told them. And they did exactly what I said they would do. And I'm happy with that. I finally got 1 spot on. Now, I said earlier that Luton would finish 13th and they finished 3rd. I predicted Norwich to finish 3rd and they finished in 13th. Ooh, no yo-yoing between the Premier League and the Championship now, Norwich. But I don't think this is what you wanted. And the way their form's going, Fulham are going to be staying up. So you won't be trading places with them. This was a very, very bad run of form for Norwich. I mean, 17 wins is certainly not bad, but you lost points in so many places where you shouldn't have lost them. So you need to look into your defenders, but also find Also, you need to play a more solid form of football. I think you gave away the ball more times in areas where you really shouldn't have. You needlessly gave away possession a lot of areas where you shouldn't have, and a lot of shots you had you really should have scored and you didn't. So a season where you end up losing more games than winning, you're never going to find promotion no matter how well you win. I mean, you could have had no draws, and still, if you split those 11 losses, if you split those 11 draws, where you won 6 of them and lost 5 of them, you'd still not be in a good position. And that's where a lot of your problems lie, is that you lost games you shouldn't have lost. So now we look into the 2 teams I predicted for automatic promotion. This first one hurts the most. Just outside of the playoff places, on goal difference to the shit pit. And that was Blackburn. 5 places below where I predicted them. Blackburn threw it away with some of their games. I mean, they scored 20 wins, which is a decent record. It's more wins than what Sunderland and Coventry got. But a lot of their losses, they piled up. They lost more than any of the playoff teams. And you can never end in a playoff with that run of form. They lost more games than Millwall did. So yeah, the priority is going to be defenders. You're going to need a mountain of defenders next season, because I mean, 9 draws is an okay run, and 20 wins is good. But those 17 losses, you need to turn those losses into either draws or wins. And to do that, you need defenders. And speaking of a team that needs defenders, and a team that needs to completely turn its football philosophy around, the team I predicted to win, I said they would win if they sorted out their issues at board level. They clearly haven't. So, yeah, just above middle of the table is Watford. Can't really say much else on them. They were run-of-the-mill, and I was predicting them to be a lot better than that. 16 wins, 15 draws, 15 losses. What else do you want me to say? Watford seriously do need to change their football philosophy, because it's not helping them. Right now, this is not what Watford need. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We finished my prediction, and my target was 24. I only got half of that. This was worse than my last season by a mile. This league is so difficult to predict, but I want to see if I can get redemption with my Premier League prediction when the season ends. But I want some redemption now as well. So let's take a look at that playoff. Luton, Middlesbrough, Coventry or Sunderland. I don't want it to be Middlesbrough, even though they were my one spot on prediction in this table. I don't want Middlesbrough coming back up, because right now I would like to see something different in the Premier League. I certainly don't want the shit pit back up. So it's between Coventry and Luton for me. And I'll say it. Go Luton. I want to see Luton promoted to the Prem. They've got Sunderland in the playoff semi-final. Smash the shit pit. Smash 'em.